Hey,
How's everyone doing this evening? Happy Wednesday, everybody. A few weeks away from Christmas for some of us. Not everybody enjoys Christmas, obviously, but I think most of us here and those in the chat do. Welcome to the Snowflake Show, episode 13, Lee. Episode 13.
episode 13.
Yes. I am your co-host, Regan Lee, alongside
Me, Lee Corn. You always catch me out with that every time.
Yeah, I always catch you out of that. And over the next hour or so, we're going to give you the latest UK news in politics and share with you some of our funny and good news, warm-hearted stories as well. How you been, Lee? You all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. Lefty Voter just asking, are we on Marcus time tonight? Just wondering if we've got enough time to make a brew. Sorry, Lefty, no.
No,
on,
you should have had your brew ready beforehand. You know how it works. Shall we say hello to the chat? Who have we got tonight, Lee?
So we got Lefty Voter, as we said. Duke Vengeance, good evening. Good evening, Duke. Ginger's Giraffes here. Hello. Hi, Gingers. Number 3 says, hi, babes. Hi, number 3. I don't know if that's for us or anybody else, but okay.
So Larry the Cat.
Good evenings, everybody. Ben Shaw's here. Evening, everyone.
Ben, good to see you, Ben. Good to see you,
Duke.
Gingers. Yeah, good to see you guys. Hope you're all doing well, obviously, today. Got quite a lot of stories today, but it's still feeling very quiet, like it normally does, Lee.
Yeah. Quiet as usual. Quiet week. I'd say it's gone really quiet compared to how it was when we first set this up, wasn't it? It was mad when we first set this up. It was all just...
Yeah, we've had a lot of crazy weeks, haven't we?
Yeah, no new prime ministers this week. No new, home secretaries or chancellors or anything like that. Nobody resigning so far. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I need to do a poll, don't you? It's reminded me now. So, should we go through the news then?
Yes, let's go straight to the news.
The news.
We're going to start off straight to The Guardian with an exclusive that just dropped literally like half an hour ago, something like that. I think it was about half an hour ago. This come along. But The Guardian has reported, the headline here is officials slow to act on COVID contact tracing warnings, leaked evidence says. So evidence to the UK's COVID inquiry describes missed chances to improve test and trace regime in the early days of the pandemic. So, public health leaders were slow to act on repeated warnings over Christmas 2020 that contact tracing and isolation could be triggered immediately after a positive lateral flow test result. Leaked evidence to the COVID inquiry shows. A scathing lesson learnt document written by Dr. Algan Fox, a senior test and trace official, and submitted to the inquiry, gave his account of a trail of missed opportunities to improve the NHS test and trace regime in the first winter and spring of the pandemic before vaccines were available. It suggested that people will have unnecessary spread to the virus to friends and relatives in the first Christmas of the pandemic and subsequently January lockdown period because they were not legally required to isolate and had their contacts traced as soon as they got a positive lateral flow test. Instead, for around 2 months, those eligible for rapid testing were told to get a complimentary PCR test after a positive lateral flow. About a third of those who were subsequently got a negative PCR test were likely to have a COVID anyway. The policy eventually changed on 27th of January 2021, so that some people who were required to have contact trace and isolate immediately after receiving a positive lateral flow result, after about 6 millimeters lateral flow test had been carried out. However, for NHS workers, adult social care workers, primary schools, teachers, and haulers, there was still a requirement for complementary PCR tests and therefore no immediate contact tracing. This carried on until a new contact tracing regime from this point of positive lateral flow test at the end of March 2021, months after the issue was first raised. Daily deaths from COVID were running about 400 a day in the week before Christmas 2020, when the limited household mixing was allowed as part of the tier and bubble system. Johnson announced the third lockdown in the early January 2021, with confirmed cases of about 70,000 a day. Daily deaths in the pandemic reached their peak at more than 1,000 a day during the last 2 weeks of the month. Yeah, this is not surprisingly, isn't it? I mean, even though this is just dropped and it's showing some leaked news, this should not surprise people at all, really, when you think about it.
Yeah. Femi did a video. Femi, who does the Femi Sorry, I think his Twitter handle. He does all these videos.
Yes.
Pro Brexit, pro Remain, pro Europe, anti Brexit videos. And he did one yesterday, I think it was. And one of the things it kind of reminded me of, like, is how the government just laid back on, just delayed so much on everything around COVID, from locking the borders or stopping people coming in from countries where there was really high levels of COVID, to locking down late. We knew we could see what was happening in Italy, what was happening in Spain at the time. We're like a month or 2 months behind them. We could have just implemented everything to prevent us seeing the same sort of issues that they were having with people dying in homes and hospitals. We could have limited it, but we didn't, and it was, they just didn't want to lock down. But this is just typical sort of thing. Same sort of issue. They just didn't put the things slow to act. Public health leaders slow to act on repeated warnings. So, yeah.
It's I mean,
like, that was over Christmas 2020.
It's a shame as well, because, like, the fact that that people knew this was happening, and the fact that I wonder how long this inquiry is going to go on for. I don't know if it's going to be finished before 2024, because there's a lot of information to gather. I just hope it gets the due diligence that it deserves, because people, rightly so, people want to know the truth of what was going on in government during that time.
Yeah.
And all we've got is speculation, really.
Yeah. People have, like, I'm sure you knew people, I'm sure people here knew of relatives or friends who had people round for Christmas, even going against the above and beyond what the limits were or the recommendations were at Christmas, on that first Christmas of lockdown. And how many more lives were lost because of that. People even with long COVID as a result of it. So, but yeah, like you say, we'll see what happens the outcome of the inquiry into that.
Yeah, I'm just seeing if there's any kind of more to add from the article, because I've only just had a chance to kind of skim through it before coming on. But if there's any more, obviously it's only a leaked article, so they've only just gotten some of it. But obviously, we'll obviously have to keep an eye on it. Obviously, when the full thing comes out, we'll definitely cover it.
Yeah.
It's a tough one to take, because people lost their lives, and it could have been prevented, and we all know that.
Yeah.
So,
just looking in the chat, Duke Vincent says, "Grr, I'm so unnecessarily angry." I don't know about unnecessarily. You can be necessarily angry about this though, but so Laurie the cat says, "No tomato throwing tonight." I don't know what that's in reference to. Is there something we missed on that? Casper Northerner says, "Hi everyone." Hi Casper.
Hello Casper.
Number 3 says, "What a surprise! What, they were on time, or that the government was late on its COVID strategy?" Kendra says, "Hello, hi Kendra." Kendra won at the games night, by the way. I'm sure she won twice, but everybody says she just won once. But maybe I was misremembering it.
Oh, there's another comment. Remember, number 3 said Heathrow Airport was wide open for business as usual during the initial lockdown. Yes, it was. That was a big thing as well.
Yeah, they just left it wide open.
Not cancelling Cheltenham was a big mistake, says Chatty Rat. Yep, that's another one as well.
And there was a game, the Liverpool game against Porto, was it?
No, Atletico Madrid. That's right.
Madrid, yeah, when Madrid was in a really bad state, COVID-wise, and they allowed the game to go ahead, and
yes, they allowed the game to go ahead.
Caused a massive spike in cases. Number 3 says lessons learned changes the system. Yeah, Pedulous says, "Good evening, all. Bonsoir tous. Bonsoir, Pedulous."
Bonsoir to you.
Chatty Rat says, "Yeah, oh yeah, about cancelling Cheltenham." Sorry, the Cat says, "Bodger wanted the bodies to pile high while he parted." Yes.
Yeah, he did. Was quoted as saying that allegedly.
Number 3 is the government was the one. Well, not a functioning one, not one taking responsibility for anything.
They weren't functioning then and not functioning now, are they? To be fair.
Ben Shaw says they did say at the start they wanted herd immunity. Well, yeah, Boris wanted that. He wanted herd immunity, but herd immunity doesn't really work with a virus that just evolves and changes every few months. So, Pratt Handoncock, I think you mean Matt Hancock. I'll take your word for it. Was adamant that Cheltenham go ahead. Yeah, it wasn't.
Yes.
So the links between him, Dido, Harding, her husband, Randox, the Jockey Club, Cheltenham itself, all linked, all got links, whether through marriage, through businesses they work for. They're all linked. It was all just a big. When you look at it, I mean, really, I hope that at some point we get an inquiry into not just this, but the corruption of this government and the things that they've done, and the money that people have made out of from PPE contracts, not just PPE contracts, but testing contracts with Randox, the money that was wasted by Serco on gazebos that cost about $1,000 but were rented out at like hundreds of pounds a week to the government, rented back, for months on end. Just all sorts of corruption in this, and it needs looking at, because this government, it has a thing of it doesn't want to spend, doesn't want to raise taxes, but it's for the rich, but it's quite happy to take the money that it takes in tax from the poor or from the average person, the average public, and spend it on willy-nilly on everybody else, and then say, "Oh, we can't afford. We can't afford to pay nurses, give them a decent pay rise, even to match inflation. We can't afford it." But yeah, it just makes my blood boil.
I mean, we need a cleansing, like a proper cleansing of this government.
There needs
something like that comes.
There needs to be. I know there are these things like Office of Budget Responsibility and all these other things that these other departments that are supposed to keep an eye on this sort of stuff. But if you haven't got any teeth to actually actually get to grips with people who do these sort of things, or take them to court, or take take it legal or whatever, criminal acts, that punishment. There has to be proper punishment, so that MPs and ministers don't think they can get away with it like they do at the moment. But anyway,
it's not going to go away. We will. We can only hope that some kind. I mean, there's got to be some kind of inquiry when Labour comes into power, because they know that the public will demand something. It's constant. But you just hinted at the next story we're going to be talking about anyway, and that is nurses. Lee.
Do you want to do this one, or shall
I? You can do this one, my friend.
Okay. So, members of the Royal College of Nursing, the RCN in England, Wales, and Northern Ireland, will stage their biggest ever walkout on the 15th and 20th of December after voting in favour of industrial action in a ballot. Up to 100,000 nurses will go on strike next month in a dispute over pay. Members of the Royal College of Nursing in England, Wales, and Northern Ireland, we already had that bit. Nurses and other nursing staff will take action at half of the locations in England where the legal mandate for strikes was secured in November, while there will be strike action at every NHS employer in Wales except one and throughout Northern Ireland. The RCN said the number of NHS employers affected would increase in January unless negotiations were held. The Scottish Government has made a separate pay offer. The union said it had repeatedly called on the UK Government to accept its request for negotiations to resolve the dispute over pay and patient safety. RCN General Secretary and Chief Executive Pat Cullen said ministers have declined my offer of formal pay negotiations and instead chosen strike action. it was left us with no choice but to announce where our members will be going on strike in December. Nursing is standing up for the profession and their patients. We've had enough of being taken for granted and being unable to provide the care patients deserve. Shall we have a look at the video?
Yeah, so Keir Starmer here is going to talk about, I don't know if you guys have heard this, but Keir Starmer spoke about the nurses going to strike.
Yeah, so he just forgot that ministers still have the power and the means to stop this by opening negotiations that address our dispute. So here's Keir Starmer.
The nurses have been driven to this by the government, and that's a badge of shame for the government. They've never taken strike action before. And for patients, this is going to be devastating news. Nurses don't want to go on strike. And now it seems the Health Secretary is not even prepared to get around the table to continue negotiations to avoid the strike. And frankly, if the government is that tired of governing, then they should get out the way and allow a different government to come in and deal with the underlying questions like the lack of staffing. We want to train up 15,000 new staff to come in. Cavalry is coming under a Labour government. We wouldn't sit on our hands as this government is doing.
Yeah, well said by Keir. I was very interested to hear what he had to say on it, because he hasn't really. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Labour hadn't said too much about it. But it's, they're definitely. I don't know if they will go on the. I don't know if MPs will actually go on the picket lines with the nurses. I don't know if that's been confirmed or not.
I don't know. He's stopped MPs and ministers from going on the picket line, or asked them not to.
I know on the train disputes he's very keen on it, but I'm wondering how he would feel about this one over nurses, because this is the NHS we're talking about here. We're talking about doctors and nurses. So I'm pretty sure the question has been asked inside Labour camp. I'm wondering where they would stand on that.
He's right to go on. Sorry, go on. I was
just going to say, but it's good to hear that he's pointing out that this is totally by the government and its actions, and it's good to hear that I think he's being careful with what he says, careful with what he says, and trying not to make it a political thing and more about, they're not just not paying the nurses enough, pretty much.
I think I don't think in. I mean, I don't know, but I think you have to be consistent if you're going to support nurses. You have to support other public sector workers as well, and you also have to, unless there are ridiculous reasons for going on strike. But I don't think these are pretty reasonable reasons for doing so. And I think at the end of the day, the Labour movement, it was set up by the unions, so there is a link there, and there is a big link in the way the unions the Labour Party is run. But you kind of wonder whether he would actually allow MPs to go on the picket line, whether that would actually cause more aggro than because he'd be going against what he said for the RMT.
Yeah, I think you're right from that point of view. Actually, now that I think about it, but I think, I mean, obviously, he's standing there as the opposition leader, and they're the opposite party, and at the end of the day, if it's obviously it was very very important point for the people of Scotland there that the Scottish government are trying to avoid strikes at any and all costs, but obviously it's difficult for them because at the end of the day they need the money from Westminster, and Westminster are reluctant to give them money, obviously. So they are, the Scottish government are at least fighting tooth and nail to avoid any kind of strikes up there. So that's good from their point of view. But for England and Wales, it's it's just falling on deaf ears. And we've talked about this last week anyway, about how I think it was last week or a few weeks ago, about how terrible this is, that the fact that they have to go on strike just to be able to make ends meet is it's tough,
I'm not sure how that works in Wales, whether they have is it devolved powers over the NHS.
Not like Scotland. Scotland have a lot more,
right?
A lot more say. They do. I could chat can correct me if I'm wrong, but Wales does have some power, but not as in the way that Scotland would have with its devolved government.
Yeah, just
That's
noticed
for sure.
in the chat, so Larry the Cat says that the nurses' unions are affiliated to the Labour Party. You have no choice but to come out and support. That's true because the RMT isn't affiliated to the Labour Party, I believe. So that may be how he could do support one and not the other.
Yeah.
Because not all unions are affiliated to the Labour Party anymore.
Oh, there was just this bit just under the video. We just to highlight as well.
Sorry.
So because we actually mentioned this before, we didn't say this. So just in the article from Sky News, so nurses 20% off in real terms. The RCN said despite this year's pay reward of 1,400 experienced nurses were 20% off in real terms due to the successive below inflation rewards since 2010. You know, that's 20% worse off. That's a huge chunk of your income.
Yeah.
You know, and 2010, that's 12 years ago we're talking about. You know, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, obviously they would love their pay to be in line with inflation, but they just want to be able to put food on their tables, just to be able to pay their bills, just to be able to live their lives, never mind just surviving every day.
Yeah, so they're calling for a pay rise of 5% above RPI inflation, which is just basically just to try and catch up a bit, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, so saying ambulance crews, midwives, and hospital cleaners are also balloting their members on strikes over. So we're looking for another winter of discontent, actually.
Yeah, we are.
Which leads into this one, I suppose.
Yep. So from one strike to another strike, guys. So it's Eurostar security staff to strike in December. So if you plan on taking the Eurostar during these times, so members of the RMT union will walk out on the 16th, 18th, 22nd, and 23rd of December in dispute over pay. The strike will severely affect Eurostar services for travellers close to Christmas, the union has said. Security staff members go on strike next month. Members of the meantime will walk out 16th, 18th, 20th, 23rd December. The strikes will severely affect Eurostar services for travellers close to Christmas. The workers, some of whom earn £10.66 an hour, rejected a below inflation pay offer and vote overwhelmingly for strike action. More than 100 staff are expected to take part of the action. Responding to the announcement, Eurostar said, "We are aware of the negotiations between Mighty and the unions are ongoing. If there is any impact on the surface, we will update customers as soon as possible." Mick Lynch, General Secretary of the union, said that Eurostar security staff are essential to the running of Eurostar. It is a disgrace that they're not being paid a decent wage. Yeah, and another, there's the list of strikes are growing, Lee.
Yeah.
It's just another one to add to the list. Just a quick one, just to add on top of this. I heard today from my job that one of the G4S, some of you guys may have heard of. They are guys that collect. They do a lot of banking collections for a lot of retailers. They go in obviously and collect to collect a lot of the bankings for shops, so that shops don't have to actually physically go to the banks to deposit their money. They're going on strike too, as well. And we've already got train strikes. You got the nurses, obviously we talked about, and then we got this. The strikes are piling up, Lee, and it's not going away.
Yeah, I was just looking at that, which saying some of the workers earn £10.66 an hour, rejected a below inflation pay offer. But then, sorry, just on the Eurostar. But then from April, the minimum wage is will be £10.42 an hour. So there, which is a 9.7% pay increase. So I imagine that is probably more than what they would. So they're going to end up closer to the minimum wage than they were.
To on that point, that is what they're on right now. That £10.66, is far better than what nurses are on. it's far higher than what nurses are on right now.
Well, it depends
now,
it depends which nurses, because obviously you're probably talking about junior nurses, because not all nurses will be on the same rate, and that is not much over minimum wage.
Well, still well up. It's from, because I've mentioned before about when I've looked for jobs before around this time. Most of them are around this per hour for simple basics. For some of the simple basic jobs, around that number at the moment. Now, if you there are still jobs that are offering less than £10 an hour.
Yeah,
which is absolute crap money.
well,
You're not going to get anywhere.
Minimum wage at the moment is £9.50.
Yeah,
for over 23.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if is London have a separate rate.
London does have a separate rate because in central London everything's higher. I would say that obviously the minimum wage needs to be raised extensively. It's nowhere near the level it needs to be, but at the same time we don't obviously want to increase the price of everything else. But something's got to give, because people are struggling. People still have bills to pay, food on the tables and whatnot.
So going back, so the hourly pay scale, band 1 is £9.49, which I guess is probably £9.50 actually. That's probably set before the minimum wage was set. So yeah, they basically pay minimum wage.
Yeah, that's
a band 1.
I mean,
and band 2
working for the Eurostar and you're getting that, it's just like, come on, like realistically, you serious? Like,
wow.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I know. It's frustrating, the businesses are trying to make money, but at the same time they're losing money because we don't have trading with our closest borders, and inflation is going up, and it's so frustrating for everyone right now.
It's upsetting. I'll be honest with you. It's upsetting that nurses are earning minimum wage. That's what upsets me.
It's been going on for a long time, and they've just been sitting on their backsides, this Conservative government, about it. We never had strikes. Like I don't even, correct me if I'm wrongly, but have there been really any like NHS overwhelms back when Labour were in power?
When Labour were in power, no. What the waiting lists were really low compared to the almost eliminated waiting lists on the NHS for most things. I'm not saying Labour did a brilliant thing, because we're still dealing with things like PFI and public-private partnerships and things like that. PFI, private finance initiative, where companies were allowed to were encouraged to invest in building hospitals and things like that, with a long-term contract to supply different things. And like I mentioned before, Marcus Allshorts, I think one of his daughters works in the NHS, and it's like £25 to replace the light bulb or something like that. Just ridiculous prices, because they can charge whatever they want because they got it under this contract. So this is it. It's privatisation by stealth. I saw something the other day, like the NHS will never go away. It will always be there, because it's such a big brand and such an emotional thing for people in the UK. But what will happen is it'll just be run privately, and eventually they'll probably start charging you to go for if you go for to see the doctor, they'll charge you.
They're already trying to push that.
Yeah, it's already been mentioned.
You can see articles on there.
Yeah, and it'll be like going to the dentist, where you have to try and find an NHS doctor, GP. That's the way it'll go, unless we can get rid of these Tories, unless we can come up with and Labour can reverse some of this stuff, because what we don't want is Labour to get in. What's worrying me at the moment is Labour gets in, Keir Starmer just allows some of this stuff to carry on as it is, without going, trying to change it again. But shall we look in the chat? Because I haven't spoken to any. There's loads of stuff coming up in the chat. We haven't.
Yeah, let's have a look. Bonjour, All Shorts. Good to see you there.
All Shorts. Hi, All Shorts. I didn't realise you were there.
Hello, we Scott Dog. Good to see you as well. The Maybot old man has shares in G4S. Oh, I didn't know that.
Sorry, Alistair Cairn. Hi, Alistair. Hi from HMP Albatross Colony of Scotland, Northern England. Watching this for first time. Oh, I welcome new viewer.
I've seen you on another live stream somewhere. I'm sure of it.
It says all NHS are devolved, but Scotland is more powers on it. Scottish NHS is getting more funding from the Scottish government Hollywood budget. Yeah, I think because Scotland.
Yeah.
Taxes,
I thought so. Yeah.
No Disalsi says, I wonder if we all go on strike, stage a full-on stay at home for a week in solidarity, and I mean schools, colleges, universities, shops, banks, etc., and demand a general election. Yeah, I mean that would be good.
I think marching down Westminster would be a much bigger thing, and they wouldn't be able to ignore it. The media
with Guy Fawkes masks on.
Pitchforks and... What's that film where they all wear the Phantom mask?
V for Vendetta. That's brilliant.
V for Vendetta. Brilliant. I should all wear that mask. They just walk down there.
Chatty Rat says it's obvious that HMG wants public sector strikes, otherwise it would have invited the TUC in for talks. Yeah, they're just allowing them to happen.
Yeah.
And they're basically doing it in a way to make it look like Keir Starmer, because he has to either decide whether he's going to back them or not, and they can just keep hitting him over the head with it at PMQs or whatever because of it.
Yeah, We Scott Dog says if pay is too low, nurses will leave the NHS, increasing labour shortages, and we all know that's happening already. You know, and it's not that they don't want to leave; it's just because they can't afford it. They just can't afford to make a living. It's so frustrating.
Conservative says, "Did you start without me? Can't believe it. Sorry, Conservative, we're on time today. We weren't on
apologies for being on time. It's not like us.
It's German efficiency, yeah. Well, it seems
I found the back rooms of YouTube. I see you in the chat there, Cash Dummy.
Hi, Zhao Moreira. So it seems I found the back rooms of YouTube. Good evening, everyone. Who else is here that we haven't seen before? Didn't say hello to. Number 3. Starmer is afraid of the Tory media. You should grow some balls and use social media. Keep pumping the message. Discard it. He is doing some social media, but it's a bit lame, really. I'll be honest. I get a lot of it. But
yeah, that's been one of the Labour's big criticism. They don't use enough social media. I mean, imagine if they did imagine if after PM, my point is imagine after PMQs Keir Starmer goes and sits in a car or something before he goes to his next meeting or whatever schedule, and he just does a 2-minute TikTok video or something talking about how it went or something. Imagine that. People will get to see the real Keir Starmer a little bit. It just he's got one of his aides next to him and he's saying this is what we knew he was going to say this is what I said and all this kind of thing. Just to kind of give a bit of a human side to Keir Starmer rather than just seeing him as the politician.
Because that's what the videos are. They're they always have some music in the background, and it's him stood in a room with his notes and checking his notes and stuff like that, sort of pre-PMQs. It's but it's all polished. And I know that looks good, but a bit unpolished would make it more.
See a bit of behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, well, that's supposed to be. It's supposed to be behind the scenes, but it's too polished. It needs to be rough and ready to give him that, on in the moment rather than kind of pre. It still looks set up. But yeah.
Starmer is conservative, says number 3. Well, he did meet what's his name, Rupert Murdoch. So yeah.
But Rupert Murdoch hasn't got as much power as he did have. So number 3 says also bursaries have gone. Nobody else says
they're doing their best to. Just to say, Ben Shaw saying they're doing their best to ban most forms of protests.
Yeah.
Too. So best quiet marching in Westminster. Well, there was just quick. I won't cover it, but there was a Just Oil protester who's now spending 6 months in prison.
Really? For what?
Yeah. But basically the protest, the Just Oil protest.
Really? Which one was it? Where they glued themselves to something, or was it?
I can't remember which one, but it's. But there was already, I think it was a couple of days ago, there was a story about prisons are too full anyway. Yeah. They need 400 more jail cells, the government are asking. It's just
they were saying on the radio they might put people in police cells to ease up the burden. But that's not great, is it?
Not very good at all, no.
Nobody else says, Calder and LBC revealed the rock and hard place problem with NHS pay. If you pay them enough, they stop doing overtime to make ends meet. No staff doing overtime means empty. Oh, Jesus, that's a bad. I've relayed this story. I don't know if I don't think I've relayed it on here before, but a couple 3 years ago, just before the pandemic, my dad broke his hip. We didn't know at the time, but we had all these issues, the same issues that you see all the time, waiting 8 hours for an ambulance to turn up. Got there, we're in a corridor with a load of other people on beds waiting, on the trolleys waiting to be seen. When we got into the A&E, there was a board on the wall. It's a whiteboard, and he'd written on like how many nurses you need, how many doctors you need, and different, and how many actually were on. And it was like for everyone there was like half. There was like, there'd be like 8 doctors or whatever, and there'd be 4 doctors on shift. So it was like literally, you could see that they were short. They were so short, and they're having to rely on junior doctors stepping up and doing the work of senior doctors, and same with nurses, and nurses staying doing extra shifts, no extra overtime. It's just madness, really is.
It's just a shame.
And this is before the pandemic as well. This is before. So, but the issues with the ambulance staff as well is horrendous. Because they can't hand over, they can't leave. Once they bring somebody into hospital, they can't just drive off and go and get another deal with somebody else. They got to wait until they've handed the patient over to the doctor to be seen, to give them the details of what's wrong with them, what they've done, and all the rest of it, and the status. So they're basically stood at the side of a trolley. There's a queue of ambulances outside that are just empty because they can't go anywhere because they can't. The driver inside with the patient. Nightmare it is. It's just it's like it makes things. It's like a catch. It's not a catch-22. It's just like there's no. It makes the situation like a spiral of delays, because then you can't get more.
It just piles up. Yeah,
and there aren't enough doctors to deal with it, so to actually go and find out what's happening. So they have to wait longer in the queue, in the corridor or whatever. It's a nightmare.
Yeah. It's terrible. We'll obviously keep an eye on it as we go along. Shall we talk at some possible positive news in politics? Shall we?
Yeah. We can have a look at this.
Possibly
light on the mood, make us more happier. I don't know.
Yeah.
We've got the spinning circle of doom. I don't know if it's going to work. Let's see.
The SNP, Ian Blackford.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm sure the whole House will want to join me in sending prayers and condolences to the wife of Doddy Weir, who sadly passed away at the weekend. The absolute giant of a man, an inspirational figure in Scottish rugby, and someone who raised £8 million for M&D charities over the course of the last 6 years. Our thoughts and prayers are with Cathy, with Hamish, with Angus and with Ben. Mr. Speaker, let me wish everyone a happy St Andrew's Day. And those that know anything about St Andrew know that he's not just the patron of Scotland, he's celebrated right across Europe. That is why it is such a sad sight to watch this Prime Minister rammed through a bill that would rip up 4,000 pieces of European law. Laws that protect workers' rights, food standards and environmental protections. And it's an even worse sight watching the leader of the Labour Party desperately trying to out-Brexit the Prime Minister, ruling out freedom of movement and any hope of a Swiss-style deal. Brexit is now the elephant in the room that neither the Tories or Labour are willing to confront. When will the Prime Minister finally see reality and admit that Brexit is a significant long-term cause of the UK economic crisis?
Let's get past
Mr. Speaker,
it'll just be nonsense.
We don't need to hear what he has to say.
No,
let's just hear let's hear Blackford give it a right
deals
go.
Around the world. That's how we'll drive growth and prosperity.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I thank the Prime Minister for his remarks on Doddy Weir, but once again what we're seeing over Brexit is better together. We're used to that in Scotland. The problem for both the Prime Minister and the Labour leader is that when it comes to Brexit, even their own voters don't agree with them. The last YouGov poll showed a record 56% now believe it was wrong to leave the European Union, and that figure is 71% in Scotland. 1 in 5 who actually voted for Brexit have now changed their minds. More and more people across these islands are wise to the fact that "Make Brexit Work" is just another stupid slogan. But Scotland can't be stuck with a new Brexit Together coalition of the Tories and Labour. So on this St Andrew's Day, can the Prime Minister finally tell people in Scotland the democratic path to escape Westminster control, to deliver independence, so we can get back to the European Union?
Absolutely. Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker,
Yeah, I think
he talks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well done, Ian Blackford.
Yeah.
God, I love that man.
It's on now.
Yeah,
It
you know,
is.
I'm
The
so
polls.
glad somebody, like I know Caroline Lucas, I think it is, has pointed out Brexit a few times in PMQs and that, but you know, obviously it just gets ushered down and that. But it's great to hear Blackford, you know, pointing it out blatantly and criticising not just the government but Labour's denial of not talking about it as well. You know, and I love that he pointed out the YouGov poll. You know, the polls that are showing that people want something. People are not happy. You know, people are not happy that businesses are suffering and you know we're poor off and you know being outside the European Union. You know, and it's a nice attack line, and I hope he keeps using that attack line whenever he gets the opportunity to.
Yeah. The polling, I mean, Labour supporters, it's really high amongst Labour supporters rejoin. So, but you know, I think I read an article, and I think in senior Labour circles, apparently, they are still for Remain, or he is still for rejoin, but he doesn't want to lose the next election. That's the most important thing for him. Keep winning that election. And he's worried that if he does, bear in mind that the Tories won on a lot of swing seats, so he's worried that those seats could still swing back to the Tories if necessary, or to another party, which could lose him votes or lose him seats. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a toxic subject for Labour. They just want to get those voters back, and they want to get enough seats to win the next general election. Let's just hope they do. Shall we go from one Labour
should we just say hello to a few people in the chat, because I think we
got some more voices, have we?
So Zhao, I think we said Aki's mad. Said hi peeps, just in. Hi Aki.
Hi Aki. Lee Scott's dog says Sunak blah 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 blah, growth blah 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 blah, prosperity blah 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 blah, and more blah. Well said.
Yeah.
SNP doing the opposition job, absolutely. Keir, absolutely, Keir.
Yeah. Noddy Salsi says Labour conference supported PR, but the Labour front bench still want to keep first past the post because they believe they got next gen election in the bag and don't want to share power. Yeah, that's it. If it was going to be, if it was going to be a close election, they're probably more keen to have PR. Because you know they'd probably be able to do a deal with enough parties to stay in power. But Labour number 3 says Labour don't just need to win; they need to win big, or someone else does.
It's always Nigel Farage lurking in the bloody background, isn't there?
Well, yeah. Well, we haven't mentioned it, but the census results came out yesterday or today, and Nigel Farage pointing out all the different areas where there's more, where ethnic white people are now in a minority, and all these different things. And I think
Savage Javid tweeted at him saying Savage Javid is saying I can't remember what it was, but he basically just said we didn't say who cares, but it was along those lines of why is this an issue? Why are you mentioning this? You know?
Yeah. Let's move away from Nigel Farage.
Let's move straight away from him. I just want to cover a little bit on David Miliband on the Independents. We might get in trouble for playing the video, so probably better not play the video.
I don't think we didn't get in trouble with this one. With these, we haven't got in trouble with these so far. So it's up to you whether you want to play the video or not.
I don't. Let's not play the video on this one. It's just because I know some people have gotten strikes for playing LBC videos. So
okay.
Let's
right. Okay.
Let's not play that game. But I think this one's quite interesting. So David Miliband hints that he could stand for Labour at the general election. that it's not been decided yet. That's not done, says former Labour Foreign Secretary. Former Labour Cabinet Minister David Manners has hinted that he could make a dramatic bid to return to Parliament. The ex-Foreign Secretary was defeated by his brother Ed Miliband for the Labour leadership in 2010, said the comeback had not been decided yet. I haven't got the rest of it here, but
can you see it on the screen?
Just about. It has that has not been decided yet. That's not done, said Mr. Miliband after he was asked if he could stand at the next general election. He said, "I'm not even going to go there because I've got to do justice to the people who are working for the International Rescue Committee. It means a lot to me, and I'm very committed to it." Mr. Miliband, who remains president and chief executive of the IRC, added, "If you start thinking about your next job, you get yourself into trouble." I like the fact that he's very thinking about it because, looking back at 2010, that runoff between the two Milibands at that time, he was the hot
he was
guy,
favorite, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he was a guy who had his head on. I mean, obviously Ed Miliband. At the time, people didn't think much of Ed Miliband. I mean, now when you think of Ed Miliband, especially some of his speeches in Parliament are so mightily impressive. I mean, I feel like he's improved greatly, Ed Miliband now.
Yeah.
But David just seemed like he had the look. He said the right things at the time.
I think it was. David was more like a Blairite type, whereas Ed was more left wing, and he's more supported by the unions, which you reckon?
Yeah,
it was the union support that got him into power. But it didn't really work.
He seemed like a safe pair of hands, but obviously, there was obviously politics behind it. That was the reason why David didn't get in the end.
Yeah. I think.
What do you guys think in the chat? I'm curious to know what you guys think about the fact that he may come back into the Labour fold. Because I think it's how old is David? Does it say how old he is? Just out of curiosity, because I think he's still got plenty of time. Like I can see him going back in and potentially being a leader somewhere down the line. I definitely think he can be.
Let's have a look. Mr. declined to criticise Sir Keir's approach to Brexit.
Keir says Miliband was too early, in my opinion. Yeah, it could have been. Yeah, David could have been too early for him. He did say, it's entirely possible. Perhaps maybe he needs another 10 years in politics, possibly. Akisman says, don't know enough about him, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, maybe things could have been different if he had won over his brother back in 2010. Maybe, it would have been. Maybe he would have got Labour back into power. Who knows? But I think it'd be interesting if he does get back into the fold, and what impact he could potentially have on the Labour Party if he does. So I think it's one definitely to keep an eye on. That's for sure.
Yeah. Allshot says, how is David's hot dog eating skills? I think with Ed, it was a bacon butty, wasn't it? Which is a bit. I always thought that was like a dog whistle to the racist because the Milibands are Jewish. So for showing Ed Miliband eating a bacon sandwich with a funny face, kind of like really it was just that dog whistle to the racists about him, But who knows?
Yeah, let me know what you guys think in the chat about David Miliband.
Miliband was, don't know about him. Yeah. Number 3 says a political party system is unsustainable. We need to work together to tackle the various crises that we face, not least a big climate. Yeah. While we're arguing over these petty things, the world's going to crap. And not in a political sense. I mean in like a ecological sense. Lots of talk about Mr. Farage. We don't really want to give you that air on here, do we?
Let's not give him any hot air, shall we? I think we got a bit of a. I think you got a funny video of you. We got next.
Did you want to do the drug one?
Oh, we can do that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that before
So this is a bit of
we
good
share the
news.
funny video. This is very. This one's a little bit personal to me. So I'm really kind of hoping this becomes something. So this was from Sky News. A new Alzheimer's drug slows decline in memory, fueling hope doctors will one day cure dementia. It confirms a new era of disease modification for Alzheimer's disease, an era that may come after more than 20 years of hard work by many, many people with many, many disappointments along the way. Doctors have hailed a new era of medicine after study shows for the first time that a drug can slow the debilitating symptoms of Alzheimer's. Results from the clinical trial also revealed that the drug. You're not going to ask this.
Lecanemab, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
The drug.
Well,
the drug.
I can't even say that word. I apologise, chat.
I feel like the drug.
Cleared clumps of protein called amyloid. Amyloid, thought to be a key cause of the most common form of dementia from patients' brain. The data published at a conference in San Francisco led to an outpouring of optimism from scientists, many of whom have spent decades trying to understand what leads to the disease to find a treatment. Rob Howard, professor of the old age psychology at University College London, said the results were wonderful and hope-filled, adding, "At long last, we have gained some traction on this most terrible and feared disease, and the years of research and investment may have finally paid off. It feels momentous and historic. This will encourage real optimism that dementia can be beaten and one day even cured." The manufacturers of the drug released top-line results in a news release earlier in the autumn, but many doctors held back from celebrating until full results were released at the clinical trials on the Alzheimer's disease conference. My granddad,
yeah,
before he unfortunately passed away during the first lockdown. Last years or two, he had Alzheimer's, the dementia, and it was very painful to see him in that state. Whereas before then, even for a man that lived up to his 90s, he was still a very bubbly man, a happy chappy guy, and just had a lovely smile on his face. And he lost that when he lost his memory. And for many of you, obviously, who know somebody when they're in that state, it's a horrible feeling that they could still be there, but you just don't know, and they can't show it, and it's so hard. And I really do hope that we can that gives people hope, because there are some people obviously who go a long time in their lives with this. You know, some people get it a much younger age than older ages. You know, it's rarer, but it can happen, and to live in a life like that of not knowing your history and that, it's an awful feeling, and I really hope this takes us a step closer to potentially finding the cure. What are your thoughts on it, Lee?
Yeah, I heard something about this a few weeks back, or last week I think it was, and they were saying that it's it's early stages. This drug has to be applied. You have to be treated with it twice. I think it's every 2 weeks. Has a lot of some quite bad side effects it can have at the moment. It's the first time they've actually found something that will actually slow it down. He said they showed that lecanemab slowed the decline in memory and mental agility by 27% in patients with mild Alzheimer's. But what they were comparing it to was the AIDS and HIV treatments that are now available, which are readily available. They have not many side effects, or lower side effects, and people can now live with the disease and live normal lives effectively. Whereas when they first brought out first sort of trials they had with different treatments, similar to this, they showed positive sides, but they were a long way off from being a cure or allowing people to live long lives.
Yeah.
And now, it's taken a while, but they've reached a point where people can now live with. It's not a death sentence, and hopefully that'll be the point where we get to with Alzheimer's, where it isn't a case of as soon as you got Alzheimer's, you know that it's going to be a steady and long, slow decline, and that this can be, that people will be able to live normal lives without, or at least for longer, and just improve quality of people's lives with Alzheimer's as well, and for the families as well.
Number 3 says my dad had Alzheimer's. It's heresy, I think.
I don't think. I think it can be. There's different types. I think from what I was reading last week when I was reading about this article about this breakthrough.
Dementia is never funny. Absolutely.
No.
It's no joke whatsoever. No. We Scott Dog says my 91-year-old dad has dementia. So does my 92-year-old mum-in-law. Unfortunately, dad is in good. Fortunately, dad is in good spirits, but he would be incapable of looking after himself. Mother-in-law is still at home, assisted. Oh, bless you, Doug. It's not a nice thing at all. Let's cross fingers that something breaks through.
Yeah. Okay. Should we do something a bit more uplifting then?
Let's lighten the mood, as one YouTuber says. So I think we need something.
I'll have a look
we've
at
had a lot of something news. I think we could get something a bit nicer, shall we say?
Let's go with this.
Labour leader Keir Starmer confirmed this week that he plans to abolish the charitable status of private schools and invest the money in a national excellence programme for all schools. I'm joined by the Conservative Minister for Learning Stuff. What's your response? Well, it's basically communism. Jeremy Corbyn would be proud. Is it possible for you to criticise Labour without mentioning Jeremy Corbyn? I don't know, let's give it a try. The Labour Party has said that they want to invest in all children, not just those with parents who can afford high fees. Do you know who else wanted to do that? Is it Jeremy Corbyn? You said it. But why should private schools be classed as charities? Because they do a lot of charitable works. They provide this country with most of our top judges and politicians and journalists for a start. That's got to be worth a few quid in the tin. Isn't it just a tax break for rich people? Look, private schools are like private healthcare. They allow a few people who are a bit better off to pay for our own special version of something, so we don't have to use up or care about any of the public's version. Do you think that's fair? Attacking private schools is just the politics of envy. We worked hard for those inheritances. But what about equality? What about it? I mean, they've already dumbed down universities. Apparently now, over half of the people who go to Oxbridge went to a state school. I mean, how is that equality? But only 7% of people go to private school. Exactly, there are so few of them and they're so much better, they should simply all get a place. But if you take a step back, don't private schools just perpetuate a social hierarchy in this country? You say that like it's a bad thing. Isn't that just good for people who went to private school, but bad for everyone else? Not at all. As I've already said, private schools have kindly gifted us some of our greatest leaders. And all of our worst? Well, that's a matter of opinion, but they've also given us so much more. I mean, without the inspiration of private schools, we'd have never have had Hogwarts, and that's a real money spinner. I mean, that's not... And James Bond, he went to Eton for a bit, and where would we be without him? Well, yes. And cricket, and rugby, and rowing? Are you saying you never want us to win anything at the Olympics? But couldn't you argue that the very existence of private schools means that state schools are never going to have enough attention or funding? Why not? Because the people in charge only really care about private schools, because that's where they send their kids. Well, possibly, but we all know that the best way to improve something is through competition. And without private schools, how would state schools have anything to aspire to? Thank you, Minister. Next up, as the census reveals that for the first time ever, less than half of the population identifies as Christian, we ask, does that mean that having bishops in Parliament is now ridiculous? Or was that really always the case?
That was...
Oh,
Matt. Bishops must have been Jeremy Corbyn's idea, that.
Oh, I know. Oh, God, I love Matt Green.
He's funny.
Guys, if you are not a subscriber to Matt Green's YouTube channel, I strongly insist you will go over there and give him so much love and support. He really does do some wonderful work.
Yeah, putting a link in.
Absolute peach of a YouTuber. Definitely just check out his channel. If you have not already, I strongly advise you to.
Yeah. I was going to say in the chat, Zhao says, this guy is so wonderfully weird. Yes. No, DLC says, not against private schools costing parents for extracurricular activities, but not for better chance at grades. He says, Etonians know bugger all about science. They don't need to. It shows. Yeah, I won't read what Zhao says. There's odd what the YouTube algorithm censors are basically agreeing with you with priority of climate change and noting Farage's ignorance on the matter. I don't know. We're not We haven't stopped anything in the chat so far, as I'm aware.
Private schools are not the best.
No,
they're not always the best. Just look at Jacob Rees-Mogg.
Yes, exactly.
Prime example.
Nods Elsie says the obsession with class and status is very damaging and encourages Tories to deprive state schools of funding to gerrymander grades. Yes.
It does.
Well, there's that thing as well, without even about the A levels during COVID. My mind just wanders back to these things, and I think. So, are we going to Elon, our favourite
Elon Musk? Oh my God, where's the
owner.
article? I've misplaced the article. Sausages. That's not very clever of me.
There we go. Do you want me to do this one? You've done most of them.
You know how I feel about Twitter. I might as well talk about this.
Okay, go on.
Elon Musk. We won't dive too much into it, but the main headline obviously is Elon Musk has been warned by the European Union that Twitter will be banned unless it sticks to the blog's digital rules, it reports. So yes, you could very well find Twitter no longer available inside the EU. But that still doesn't mean that we can't still have Twitter, can we, Lee?
Well, I'm not on Twitter, so I don't care.
Yeah, you're not on it anymore.
No. I've still got the account. I just don't look at it. So.
Yeah, just don't look at it. I still haven't brought up the article. Oh, God, sausages. So I'm looking from the live stream. I am. Yeah, I know. Professional GB News.
You start reading it. I'll start going like that and see how you get on.
Yeah. I read like that, guys. Yeah. Musk completes his 44 billion takeover back in October and has since made some controversial decisions regarding the running of the site. The warning, which has been reported by the Financial Times, could be the start of a regulatory battle over the future of the social media platform across Europe. What's going on?
The EU industrial. Oh, that might be me because I've just lost reconnection. Oh no, that's not good. Oh dear, have we lost the? No, the stream's still on. Are we still on? Can anybody tell us in the chat we're still on?
Jack, can you just confirm in the live stream that we are still live?
Just before we carry on.
Just waiting.
Are you saying that we're still live? I haven't got any warnings.
Just waiting for the live chat. Chat saying we're back. Okay, you are still on. Thumbs up. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Do you want me to carry on, or do you want to? Because you've got the article in front of you.
EU industry chief Thierry Breton made the threat during a video meeting with Musk on Wednesday. News outlet said, citing people with knowledge of the conversation. Breton told the world's richest man he must adhere to a checklist of rules which are set out in the EU's new Digital Services Act. According to a report, these include a requirement to ditch an arbitrary approach to reinstating banned users and to agree to an extensive independent audit of the platform by next year. The landmark law aims to set the global standard for how tech giants must police content on the internet. In a readout of the conversation provided by Breton, he told Musk there is still huge work ahead as Twitter will have to implement transparent user policies, significantly reinforce content moderation, and protect freedom of speech, tackle disinformation with resolve, and limit targeted advertising. As a result, the pair agreed that the EU will carry out a stress test at Twitter's headquarters early next year to assess the company's compliance with the rules. The readout said.
Yeah, this is I like this. I like that they're kind of putting Musk on the spot, basically saying, "Look, you guys aren't going to be preaching like you're massive, like you're not like other social media platforms. You're one of the big ones, like alongside Facebook and that, and you're not going to." Just going to have Twitter, Trump on Twitter, making racist remarks and constantly saying things that are out of context. And, we're not just going to allow that to be the misinformation be spread amongst, citizens of the European Union. We're not going to stand by that. You're going to follow our rules and you're going to basically your app's not going to be you're not going to have that app. People are not going to have your social media is not going to be in the EU pretty much.
I think the thing is as well at the same time, like today, was it today or yesterday? Twitter pretty much abandoned any content mediation on COVID misinformation. So they're just allowing anybody to say whatever they want about COVID.
It dropped, yeah.
Last few days. So I don't know. They'll have to reinstate a lot of people or a lot of a lot of departments that he seems to have cut from Twitter, from the staff. So,
I don't think he's going to do that.
no.
I think he. Well, to be fair, I take that back. Actually, chat. You know why? Because there was news. I think it was last week or a week before. There was like they had asked some staff members that they fired by mistake to come back or whatnot. I don't know if they did or.
Well, they realised that they could, some of the things would literally fall over and would be just wouldn't go back up unless somebody was there to fix them.
Yeah, we kind of need you back. Yeah, we realised that we kind of need you for this department because we don't have anyone to cover it, guys. So
it's amazing how many times these things
less
happen.
pay, of course, because that's what they'll say. Come at less pay. You know, because that's what must do.
Well, but if they need them, they'll pay. It'll end up paying them more if they demand it. They'll have no choice. This happens all the time.
Yeah.
Companies come along and go. You buy another company, go right. We're gonna have to cut the staff. It's costing too much. We're gonna have to cut the staff. You just cut loads of people and then go. Oh, actually, we need that guy because this bit doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
But
and I read somewhere as well that I think Musk was going to do different color verifications as well, which is a bit random. So like, grey one was for like government official. There's going to be the normal blue one, and then there's going to be 2 other color ones. It's just like, oh god. Like,
when you mentioned that, when you mentioned about he was gonna start charging people, like I'd read the $8 thing, but I thought it was like if you've already got a blue tick and you wanted to keep it, you're gonna have to subscribe to keep your blue tick. I didn't think it would be like a free for all because it was just made absolute zero sense because it was obvious what would happen if he did that. And exactly what I thought in the back of my mind, thinking he's not going to do that because it'd be so stupid because you just have everybody coming on getting.
He did do it, and it backfired badly.
And he's like, "You're supposed to be you're like one of the richest man in the world," and that wasn't clearly obvious to you that would happen. It's just, oh Jesus!
He had to make his money back somehow anyway.
Well, I don't know how he's going to make his money. I don't know how he's going to make his money back now because all the sponsors are leaving. Apparently, it's turned into real. I read there was an article. A guy wrote an open letter on. I think it was on Twitter actually about his company was pulling all its advertising from Twitter because suddenly there was like no account managers. Account managers coming and going at Twitter that they were dealing with to deal with their advertising, and also they were finding that their adverts were appearing next to like far right. Racist stuff, hardcore porn, all sorts of stuff, and they're like, "Yeah, we can't be doing this. We can't be associated with this sort of stuff anymore." And that was why they pulled all their advertising.
They thought most of these employees are just sitting on their ass doing nothing. Yeah, that's there.
But no content moderation, things like that. But yeah. Shall I look what people are saying in the chat then? Pineapple Boy says, "Oh, Pineapple's here." Musk can go to Mars.
Musk can go to Mars, yeah.
And Joe says, "What has Mars done to deserve a Musk?"
Oh, I know. People at Mars will not approve of that comment whatsoever.
So Larry the Cat says, Muskrat took business lessons from the dumpster on how to tank a business that you paid way over the odds for. What a stable genius. Yeah, dumpster as in Donald Trump, yes. He was a brilliant, always does a brilliant job of doing that sort of stuff as well. But he never ends up worse off. It's always the people who supplied him.
Oh yeah, there's that other story. Thanks for reminding me, all short. Apple almost going from Twitter. Apple threatened Apple threatened as well, you know. And do you know what the funny thing was, right? When Musk tweeted that about Apple threatening him, do you know what he messaged on? Do you know what he tweeted on, guys? He tweeted on an iPhone. He tweeted that on an iPhone because it said, from an iPhone.
Alistair Keir. It's Alistair Keir says, remember to like this stream, chat. Thumbs up, sub to the channel, and share big time people. Thumbs up. Yes.
Yeah.
Number 3 says, it's taken me years to build my Twitter following. Sad face. Yeah, sorry, number 3. But now it's just full of racists.
Yeah, I can't keep up with that follow back Friday stuff. It's too much, for me.
I never reached a point where I was being blocked from following anybody back, so I obviously wasn't doing it as well as other people were.
They were unfollowing you later on in the next day anyway, because that's what they do.
I found a lot of them stayed there. On the FBPE they were. Shao says, my social media is an email and my subscriptions channel like this. I have enough madness in my life. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Since I stopped looking at Twitter and turned off all notifications on it, or uninstalled the app from my phone, I've had so much more free time and feel less stressed. So yeah,
Get TikTok then.
I haven't no way am I going on TikTok. Jesus Christ. He's banning off all the and apologies all shorts, but all the shorts on YouTube are bad enough. The millions of cat videos seem to they've picked up on the fact that I'll watch cats doing daft things, and that's it now. Just cat videos all day long, cats and dogs.
Yep, spam cat videos. Yep, spam cat videos to leak on.
Twitter's security may be dodgy as well, says number 3. Just skating over these. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Right. So where should we go next? Should we go from TikTok to TikTok?
Oh, yep. Oh yeah, TikTok. Right. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, from TikTok to TikTok, guys. Yeah, this is a lovely story. Speaking of TikTok, as I just mentioned, TikTok raised over 180,000 K for elderly workers so she could pay off her mortgage and finally retire. A TikTok user fundraising effort has garnered over $180,000 just to help an elderly Walmart worker pay her mortgage and retire. Devon.
You always find it.
Yeah.
These are all yours.
You guys are
not me.
This is what the chat likes about it. Me trying to say names. Devon posted a 15-second video on TikTok, which was an elderly woman sitting alone in the Walmart break room. She was wearing a Walmart uniform with a name tag and vest. Life shouldn't be this hard. I feel bad, says the caption in Devon's TikTok video. The heartwarming video has been viewed 24.1 million times on the famous social media app. Devon did not expect this video would instantly gain a lot of attention. He then some of them even encouraged him to set up a GoFundMe so they could help the woman. His viewers were not disappointed. As soon as he launched a GoFundMe, the description says, "Let's help Noah retire." Noah works at the Walmart, and that says enough. Let's all come together and help. And you can just see, this, she should not be working, bless her. And as you guys can see just below it, they raised $186,000. They raised, and that was just in 24 hours. Just 24 hours, it had raised more than $100,000. On the 5th of November, Devon posted a video where he met Nola for the account transfer. They saw you were a very hard worker. Obviously, he told the woman, "We're all super proud of you, and we wanted to offer you the $110,000 that had been raised for you." Noah said she would accept it, but still had to go to work to get $60,000 more to pay off for the house. She agreed that the money would help, and it wouldn't take her long anymore to save for her mortgage. Walmart pays their workers $19 per hour on average, so it would likely take Noah a few more years to get the additional $60,000. Noah also said that she would retire once she is able to pay her mortgage. That's not what's holding me at work. That's what's holding me at work, the house, she said. Nonetheless, she was determined to work hard so she could retire and enjoy the rest of her life without financial liabilities. She was very thankful for all the people who helped ease her burdens. Sadly, Devon's act of kindness didn't go unnoticed by Walmart, which received a lot of criticism because of the sad video. They're getting a lot of backlash. They told me I need to delete the video and delete the fundraising page and return all the money to the people that donated, or they're going to get the cops involved. He said in one of the videos. So I told them to do what you've got to do because I'm getting this money to this woman one way or another, he added. Devon also told his viewers that his employees suspended him with pay. As of November the 10th, Devon's GoFundMe was more than $172,000, which hopefully would have been enough to help Nola pay off her mortgage and retire. After posting the video, Devon gained 132,000 followers, and despite all the challenges and criticism from some of his users, he did not stop helping people and is doing fundraising efforts which could also post on social media. One of these was tipping a waitress $500 for a cup of water. Devon recently posted a video of his conversation with Nola to give his viewers an update on the woman's current situation. When asked how she was doing, she said she was feeling good and very thankful for Devon's help. I love this story. Fair play to the guy. He put he sees he's there he's a young man doing, working in Walmart, and he sees this woman, and he's just thinking to himself, like, this should not be happening. People at that age should not be forced into work at that age. And I'm glad that Walmart threatened and all this kind of stuff, because they were getting bad publicity on it, and he said, no, I'm going to keep doing it. And
that's like nasty of Walmart, that, isn't it, to do that?
Yeah, it's incredibly nasty. I mean, it's
we're going off his word on that, so it might not be the truth, just in case anybody from Walmart is watching. But
it's. I think the point, obviously, from the story we're trying to make is obviously that this guy, he already had a decent, good following on TikTok anyway, and he used that social media, the power, the influence he had on social media for good, and he's helped get Nola closer to that all important retirement fund, because people work all their lives, and when you're at a certain age, you should not be working. You should be enjoying the rest of your life. And
so she said Nola also said she's going to completely retire on the first of the year and leave Walmart after working there for 20 years. She also thanks all the people on TikTok who helped the fundraising, spread the news, and donated. So can you read that last bit, because I've got a cough.
Finally, Chef, the wonderful message question. Well, just wanted to make sure that you do good and you get what you want, and you get what you want, and I'm hoping it works that way. So yeah, lovely stuff. It's great that she got there. So lovely story. We always need stories like that, guys. Always need stories like that. And I think Lee has just muted himself.
I have him there. Sorry, I was coughing.
Oh, you're still coughing. Sorry, my apologies.
I was going to cough, and I was like, I didn't want to cough right down the microphone.
He wasn't sure, but he finally did it.
Off camera. So there you go. Professional as always.
Yep. TV news quality.
in the chat, so Sir Larry the Cat says, oh God, I had that a second ago, because I was talking about cat videos. He says, we'll get my mates to spam their videos to Lee. Thanks, Larry. Allshot says you'll soon be able to sample long form to YouTube Shorts, linking back to. Okay, should be good.
Number 3 says, I'm retired, but I struggle to enjoy life, slowly getting better. Well, I hope that life does get better for you. Number 3, I really do mean that. Yeah.
I think Zhao says, even if someone was a lazy bee, that person deserves to retire. I mean, she had 160,000 left on her mortgage. I don't know how old she was, but she would have been struggling.
I mean, obviously, we could always question about, like, why did she have that mortgage? What happened and all that kind of stuff. But the main crux, obviously, was the story is that somebody gave a helping hand. That's brilliant. That's the good stuff. Right.
Next one.
Let's just try and crack on, because we're going well over the time again.
We've gone really late. Yeah.
Where was it?
Do you want to read it, or shall I?
I'll just run through it. Not too quickly. Too quickly. So, delivery driver. You know how you get your deliveries of stuff. So this delivery driver did something super special. He leaves a huge fridge in an unusual safe place, and everyone is puzzled. So a delivery person has left people baffled after choosing to leave a fridge behind 2 bins piled on top of one another, creating what they describe as a safe place. A customer awaiting the delivery of a new fridge couldn't help but chuckle after spotting where the delivery person had left it. Of course, a large electronic appliance can't simply be popped through the letterbox or behind a plant pot if the resident is out. And so those delivering them will sometimes have to resort to more creative measures. The customer in question recently arrived home to find the fridge had been concealed behind 2 wheelie bins stacked on top of one another. The makeshift walled-off area was described as a safe place, but not for everyone. It's not too sure about that. So, as you guys can see, your fridge.
Is that like on the back of the house? Isn't it right at the front door? We just. What's that peeking behind that wheelie bin there? Those 2 stacked up wheelie bins.
As you can see, chat, the fridge has been delivered to your safe place. Sharing the snap of the hidden fridge to Reddit. The surprised yet highly amused customer who goes by the username of UGames Frontiers deadpanned, "Your fridge has been delivered to your safe place," conceded that it was unclear exactly where else the delivery person should have put the fridge. The customer amused. The delivery people did well, to be honest.
Oh my god.
The delivery blunder has left others in stitches. One fellow Reddit user commented, "This reminds me of the time a delivery man asked me to take in a parcel from my neighbour, and it turned out to be a new stove. I spent all day wondering if it was a massive heavy box, only to find out I had to help carry it to her house that night."
Nice.
Although some remarked that they couldn't understand why the customer had made sure for it to be collected in. Others recall similar instances where the item had just been randomly turned up on days where they weren't expecting a delivery. And one person wrote, "I was out of town for 2 weeks visiting family and I expected a new lounge chair to be delivered well after I returned. Nope, just randomly showed up. Had to race back to London and rescue it from the elements. Thank F I wasn't abroad or doing something I couldn't abandon."
Yeah, brilliant. Oh,
God.
Just the way he's like poking out from behind the two wheelie bins. I mean, that would look suspicious on its own. 2 wheelie bins stacked on top of each other in front of somebody's door.
It's declared a safe space, Lee. It's a safe space.
Safe space. Yeah. Somebody needs a safe space.
Oh God. Oh dear. Yeah, I know. Some people these days,
Chatterat says that would not happen in Ireland. Deliveries of electrical appliances required 24 hours notice. The old appliance would be taken away for recycling. Yeah, you'd think so, unless there wasn't recycling. Maybe they bought it on Wish, like Alibaba or something. Something from China. It takes about 6 months to turn up. It just randomly turns up. You've forgotten you even ordered it.
The Wish.com version of a standard fridge.
Right,
as they say.
We'll move on to this one.
So I'll try and run through. Yeah, I'm trying to run through these guys now. Grandmother has gone viral for using a leaderboard to rank her 10 grandchildren. Here's one way to put use for your grandchildren, motivate them. Most won't admit it, but this grandmother from New Jersey is not afraid to show she has her favourites. In fact, Mary Lamore, also known as Nanny, has gone viral for using a leaderboard to rank her 10 grandchildren. The New York-based comedian Dan Lamore shared on TikTok that he and his cousins are ranked on a regular basis on a leaderboard hung on the wall of the grandmother's home. As you can clearly see, he's not ranked. He's ranked. He's not ranked number 1. He will not be pleased.
He's on number 4 or something. Yeah, he's not.
The magnetic leaderboard has the numbers through 1 to 10 and the photos of each grandchild that can be moved up or down. Dan explains in the video, "This is my grandma's ranking board. She has a wooden board and where she ranks the children from 1 to 10, all in the face of magnets. Nanny ranks the children based on their latest actions and activities. She immediately became viral when Dan27 posted he had been demoted from full favourite to the last spot.
Last spot? Yeah, that's not good, is it?
Shameful. Apparently, Denali did not approve of his new tattoos, which led to 10th place on the leaderboard. Dan recorded the incident saying, "I'm number 4, the highest I've ever been. I did just get two new tattoo days. I'm a bit nervous about what that's going to do to my ranking." After showing his grandmother the intrusive designs on his upper arms, he asked her, "What do you think of my new tattoos?" Nanny immediately moved into the bottom of the leaderboard saying, "This is what I think of your new tattoos, son." Grandmother and grandson actually have good laughs about the huge interest in the viral TikTok clip, particularly since the leaderboard was a gift gaff given by another grandson in 2015. Nanny shared my grandson Christopher and his girlfriend. They made it. They brought it over to us. They all had cousins' names and pictures, so we hung up in our house. Dan added, "It was always an inside joke that they were favourites in the family, so this is how the board was made." Nanny describes how the promotions and demotions happen to the grandchildren on the leaderboard. Moving up and down the board can be based on different milestones and behaviour. These include having babies, coming to visit, or not visiting enough.
Yeah, you go down unless you visit. Oh, phone up.
She said, "My grandson just had a new baby, so she goes to the top because it's very good, happy moment, and I'm not even going to need to get into demotions." And Dan's latest spot on the leaderboard, Nanny says, "Tattoos, that'll do it every time. Down the bottom you go." Yeah. So I love this.
Dan said that the two top spots are largely dedicated to two cousins, one vet and one dentist. they're permanently number 1 and 2, I guess. So
it's just so cool. I love this. Like, a bit of joking around and all that kind of stuff. But I like how you can just move them. You got magnets and that. You just move them up and down.
Yeah.
Very cool stuff.
I just want to find.
Oh, we are. Oh, just.
I think we're
just
gonna. Go on. Sorry.
I was just going to say we're well over the time, so I'm just going to quickly run through just the usual stuff. So, guys, if you can in the chat, give a thumbs up, to the stream. Obviously, we greatly appreciate it. If you guys can also share our channel, share the video across other social media platforms to get us out there, it'd be greatly appreciated as well, because we're always looking to bring in more viewers. Obviously, want to help them grow and support the channel. And finally, of course, if you haven't already, click the subscribe buttons just so you guys can be notified. And of course, the bell notification icon right there, so you'll be notified when we go live. And normally it's every Wednesday, 9 p.m. UK Pacific time. But obviously, it can. We've only had one where I couldn't attend, but so far we've been able to do every Wednesday so far, Lee. Cross fingers, it doesn't change.
I don't know about Christmas because I'm in France after the New Year, so we might need to sort of work out what we're going to do over that period.
Yeah, so we'll cross that path when it comes to it. And also, guys, we also have a Discord server called the Snowflake server, which is completely free, which you guys are also free to join. We run games nights every Saturday, and then following us and then on a Sunday. So we do one on a Saturday, then one on a Sunday the next weekend. We also host a films night as well. So we always have lots of events planned on the Snowflake server as well. So we also do lots of content on there. So if some of our favorite YouTubers as well, any of their videos drop, if you haven't got notifications on for them, you could always see them pop on our server, as well as we drop politics as well, and I also have quotes for thoughts of the day. Lots of stuff there. You guys can also check out on the server, which is completely free. The links are in the channel. Doesn't cost you anything to join, and even if you're new to Discord, it's worth just giving it a try to see how it does. I was new to Discord only a few years ago, and I'm pretty much running my own server now. So there you go.
Mm-hmm. Just looking at the chat quickly before we go. I've just finished the poll, so 23 votes on will Rishi Sunak last as PM until next summer. Yes was 26%, no was 73%. So
interesting.
3/4 of the people say he won't be here by PM next summer.
Very interesting.
Yeah, All Short says do it from mine. I think he's talking about me doing the show from his next over the New Year. Fortunately, I'm going to be in the wrong part of France again, Marcus. Otherwise, I would come and visit you, but I think, and it's also going to depend on the weather because we might not be there. If the weather's bad, we won't be going. Also, it says more strikes in France. I was listening to French radio today, and it was strike after strike after strike on the news. So that's quite normal for France. So yeah, what was I going to say? Oh, Alistair's new viewer tonight says, need to go. Got early start tomorrow. Keep up with the excellent, informative content, guys. Usual people see you around. Thanks, Alistair.
Okay.
Like Regan just said, if you can hit the like button, subscribe, and all the rest of it, and also hit the bell icon as well.
Yes.
But for the time being, until next week, we shall see you. We shall leave you with a
lovely funny clip. At the moment, we're still planning to do a show next week. Shouldn't hope, cross fingers, there shouldn't be any problems. But if anything comes up, we'll obviously let you guys know as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And we are looking to do some kind of special, maybe like the week before Christmas. Maybe something a little bit more special for the week before Christmas. Maybe like a special Christmas Snowflake show. possibly wearing Christmas hats, Christmas jumpers, and maybe we'll just do like a Q&A, or maybe something a bit more lightening the mood rather than just politics, maybe.
Depressing politics, yeah.
Yeah, depressing politics, maybe just like a bit more enjoyable. We'll see, guys. We'll see.
Okay, we'll leave you with this because we've been running for over nearly an hour and a half now. So, have a good week, guys. Larry and Paul tomorrow night, 9 o'clock if you can, and we'll see you next week.
See you guys next week. Have a good week. Take care. Bye-bye.
FIFA corruption made us rich. Don't care how many I play the pitch. We got blood on the boots of the beautiful game. And then we blackmailed Hurricane. Working at the sports wash. On the payroll at the sports wash, yeah. Come on, man, sing it to me. Sports wash. We are all working at the sports wash now.
They say everybody has a price. Visit Qatar, it's really nice. Those rights abuses make me sick.
You're just another hypocrite.
So get those lights booked today. Best not tell anyone if you're gay. And throw that band away.
If you don't pay, you won't play at the sports wash.
Better keep that gob shut
At the sports wash,
yeah. All the big travel guys.
Sports wash. We are all working at the sports wash now.